And we're live.
Hello, people of that beautiful life podcast. This is Roger Bergström talking all Stockholm, Sweden, episode 169. And I'm sitting here in beautiful suburbs of Stockholm, I would say. I'm stumbling on my words here. Haven't been drinking the whole cup of tea I hear. And the sun is actually shining through the window. It's been not that great weather before, but it's a better morning. How about you, dear Q? What about your morning? One?
It's cloudy and I'm still halfway through the process of putting on my jumper. So
Okay.
I thought I had enough time to pull the jumper on before you finished like the intro little bit.
Okay.
So give me one sec.
Of course. Right arm,
Oh,
left
got that
arm.
on.
Hold on.
Perfect. It's a bit chilly.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm ready.
So what happens when you look out through your window?
It's gray.
Yeah.
It is one of those gray days. So yeah, it's a gray day today. It is not sunny and the slightest. I wish it was, because then it would probably be a bit warmer right now. It is a chillier day. Actually, to be honest, I think the office window is open, and if I close it, it'll be warmer in here, which I'll try. Let me see.
That could be a good thing to do, actually. Let's experiment.
Okay. I was right. The office window is open, and yeah, outside is grey. And the whole sky is grey. I don't know if it's gonna get brighter today. Like it could. Maybe it could. Maybe it may not. I don't know. But it is grey today. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it changed, didn't it? I mean, we had like a week had good weather. It was going on for some time, and then it changed. It went like backwards. We went all the way back to like 4+ degrees, and it
Hmm.
started to rain, and it was it's been, doesn't look that great either for the rest of this. But on the other
Yeah.
hand, the weather changes even though the forecast
Hmm.
right now, as said, it's actually a bit of sun out there. Yeah, some improvement. you know.
Yeah. Yesterday was pretty nice though. It was warm for a good portion of the day. It's sunny and all that kind of stuff. Um, I honestly didn't get out much yesterday. I spent most of yesterday on my back,
Oh,
laying down,
okay.
or on my chest. Yeah, yeah, I spent most of yesterday in bed. Um, and I got up and then I went. So I basically got up in the morning, dropped off Ty, came back, and I came back and I laid in bed. I did just reading, laid in bed reading for most of the day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, essentially, my sleep schedule last night for yesterday was that I did not sleep the night before. So I stayed up doing something. I can't remember what I stayed up doing. I think I was working on something. And then when I realized the time, I was like, holy crap, it's like 5 a.m. And I just said to myself, like, if I go and sleep now, it's just going to mess up my whole sleep schedule. So I said to myself, I need to just take a power nap, like for 20 minutes, which I did, and then stay awake for the rest of the day, and then sleep later. But because my brain, like I was actually tired, my brain just didn't, I couldn't function properly. So I just spent the day in bed reading. Um, and then later in the day, I left and went out to do something and come back. And yeah, I did a couple errands I needed to deal with. And yeah, now I'm here. So yeah, I got some sleep. Here's the weirdest thing though, right? Something I need to deal with today, which I need to remind myself of. So I went to the supermarket yesterday and requested a refund for something that I purchased. They have not processed my refund yet, but the train company has charged me 55 quid for a trip I took yesterday, and it's a charge they're charging me. So I need to call them today and tell them, hey, that's a fraud. That's a not fraud, but it's a incorrect charge because of the fact that so the train station has this thing now where you can just tap with your phone and pay, and they will charge you the next day, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
But the problem is that you basically have to tap to leave the train station, like to enter the train station where I'm at, and then you have to tap to exit on the other end. But it doesn't work at all train stations to exit. So I exited in a train station called Didcot, but it wouldn't let me out, and I ended up having to go downstairs to this section of the train station where someone issued me a ticket, and then I had to take that ticket and what do you call this thing? They told me like I'm gonna get a charge, but to call, they gave me a number or something to call today and sort it out, which I find is so ridiculous.
That's
Like,
awkward. Yeah.
why should I have to go through all this, call a number, do this, that? Like, seriously,
What a.
very backwards.
Yeah. What is this? I,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have that here. Not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That
So I'm gonna have to call them today, let them know, hey, this is not accurate. Here's my ticket and all that kind of stuff. And then
yeah. Those kind of things come and might have to wait in line or something.
yeah, I hate having to deal with stuff like that, but I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
deal with it because they're gonna keep charging my account.
Mm.
Basically, what I did was I removed all the money from my. I basically put it into like a savings pot. So when they, because I was expecting the charge, so I was like, if they try to charge me this morning, I will get nothing. Sorry, they will get nothing.
Yeah. Right.
It'll basically decline the charge. I was expecting it to be something like 20 something quid. It said 50. I was like, this is silly. So I'm going to now call them after we finish the podcast and deal with that sort of stuff, get it out of the way.
Yeah,
All
well,
that.
it's definitely one of those get it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Those annoying things
Yep.
happen as well. Yeah, we should talk a bit about what we have been doing and what has been happening. I just mentioned that the weather has been lockdown north here, and it became a bit colder. I think a lot of people are disappointed. They just want spring now with all positive sunshine and weather and
Mm.
but it hasn't really been like that, at least not yet. A few days, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
But I can just mention that I've had like a mixed when it comes to experiences. I think when it comes to work wise and doing things wise, it's been more or less like the train going, more or less, and nothing really to talk about there. You Played an upcoming game. We're gonna talk about that a bit later.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the weekend, Saturday, we family went into the city. It was some time since we were
Mm-hmm.
there. Actually, it's less and less through the years. If I look back the last 3 or 5 years, I've been so much less in actual core of Stockholm. Than
Mm-hmm.
it was the pandemic too. That has to. But even so, but this was a special occasion. They had like a night of culture, you might call it, where
Ooh.
the museums are for free all over the place and free concerts and yeah, it's a lot of things happening throughout the city, which is a good initiative. A lot of people out there, bit too many people. I was like, yeah, when you get this feeling like, oh, it's crowded here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go out. I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm definitely getting older. I can feel that. And then it was also regarding the weather. It was a bit like a evening of yeah. It wasn't that warm, and you
Mm-hmm.
and I had talked about wind. It was windy, and I I had my hoodie on. I was cold. But overall, it was nice to be something like that with the family. So that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
We listened to a choir, nice. Went to the Museum of Modern Arts. A bit, I would say checking things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But then on Sunday, I've said like Sunday, Monday, we had two things happening that don't want to happen, especially when you're on like a budget right now. Also, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to that,
Yeah.
and yeah, the 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 um the water tap in the bathroom, like on the first floor here, broke.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh.
the water was like pouring down in the sink like tremendously. And this is an older house, so there's like no individual like small valves or whatever have you to turn them off like where it stands. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go down in the basement and turn off all the water in the building. Uh, so that we did, and of course you realize very quickly, okay, we can't have it like this. We need water.
Mm-hmm.
So I called like a 24/7 plumber service. This was Sunday afternoon, like 3:30 or so. And yeah, he came within an hour ish, and we changed the water tap, also made new connections to pipes there, so have these of
Mm-hmm.
that took time, and it cost quite some, especially also like emergency, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it's fixed now, and we have been worrying a bit about this before because it has partly gotten broken before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like a question of time when will it finally break down.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened on Sunday. Then Monday morning, Annalie, we put the tires in the car because we were able to change the tires like from winter tires to summer tires in the
Mm-hmm.
car on Friday or at the end of the week. So yeah, checked out a new place on the route for work that has like. And long story short, two out of four tires were not in a good condition. So we had to order two ones.
More course.
Not exactly. Nothing more can happen now. Not this month, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. So I guess that's the gist of it when it comes to experience.
Mm.
It is, the sweet and the salt and everything.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
For me, it was pretty much the standard affair. Nothing really happened this week that like out of the ordinary. I guess it was pretty straightforward. The regular stuff. The boys are back to school, so that's great. Not having them. I mean, it sounds bad saying not having them in the house is great, but not having them in the house is great. Because it's like you can actually get stuff done. You're not having to like
Hey, I totally understand.
you don't have to plan your day around them. You can plan your day around like you. You could have things that you need to do and plan your day accordingly and get those things done, rather than it being like, oh, I'll plan my day around the lads and all that kind of stuff, which is generally what happens when they're at home, essentially. So yeah, so it's basically drop off in the morning with Ty, and then just generally I've just been trying to be as productive as possible. I haven't streamed as much. I think I've probably streamed once a week for the past couple of weeks, which is kind of not the best thing, but I've had other things I've been focused on. I did, however, yesterday go out and get myself a new monitor, which I paid 30 quid for. I bought through Facebook Marketplace secondhand, and it works. I'm using it right now. It's a Philips monitor, and it's 1440p resolution, 60 hertz though, nothing higher than that, and it doesn't have any FreeSync or anything like that. So for I guess a gamer, it's horrible or horrendous, but 1440p resolution is actually pretty decent. So it means there's less with my graphics that has to do, and I'm not mad about that. So yeah, so right now I'm just pretty much after that, I moved the monitor I had in here into my bedroom, so I can use it for like, if I want to game at night and stuff like that, because remember Chris is still visiting, so he's using the office as his room. And because of that, it means I can't literally just come in here whenever I want and just sit down all night, on my computer and stuff like that. So I've sort of like made a little nook in my bedroom next to my bed with my stuff. And that's how I've been operating it, just getting my stuff done. No issues there. And also we've had some really great days with Ty at school. He's been exceptional for the past week. I mean, Zavi, I get a bit less. He's had like quite a lot of detentions. His most recent one was because, according to him, his friend was being harassed by another student in class during class, and he got involved. And I'm like, bud, if your friend is being harassed during class, that's a teacher problem. Like, you should just call out to the teacher and say, excuse me, miss, sir, whatever it is. This is happening. Or let your friend do it because your friend is being harassed, you know? But he got involved and got a detention for it. And I'm like, dude, you can't be getting detentions for other people. And your friend didn't get attention, neither did the person harassing him. So to me, it's like,
Really?
yeah. So I was like,
That doesn't sound fair. I mean,
it's not fair. It's not fair. But at the end of the day, like, as I said to him, like, he should have won, because he said the excuse the teacher gave is that, well, the teacher didn't see what he complained was happening. And I'm like, if you know, because he's telling me this is how this teacher usually is. So I'm like, if you know this is how your teacher is, the first thing you should do is not try to rectify the situation in yourself. Because what he started doing was like telling this, he got detention for telling this other kid to shut up, right? Yeah. And I'm like, why would you get involved in that way and then start like telling this other kid to shut up? To which he said the other kid was standing by his desk, distracting him from working. So I'm like, if this kid is by your desk, right, that means the kid is fairly visible. The teacher should be able to see this kid is not in their seat and is standing next to you. All you'd have to do is get the teacher's attention and say, excuse me, miss, like, so-and-so is at my desk and I can't focus. Or, and the teacher could easily look over and see the student is harassing him. Now, at that point in time, if he does not get any justice, if the teacher does not rectify the problem at that point in time, then what I've told him to do, as per usual, is if you speak to the teacher, tell the teacher that there's a problem, and the teacher does nothing about it. At that point in time, you just simply ask for excuse. You say, "Excuse me, miss, I need to use the toilet or whatever," and go straight to the office and call me. Right? I will personally show up in the school in like a couple of minutes and sort that shit out, because I'll be like, "Look, this is nonsense," right? Like, and that way you don't get any detention, and I can sort the situation out. Because what it would show is that, look, the school isn't sorting out the problem, and that I have to come all the way down there to sort it out, because he did speak to the teacher and ask for to rectify the problem, and the teacher didn't rectify it. And that's, to me, is how the approach should be. But for him, it was like he tried to solve the situation. The teacher then probably got involved and was like, "Why are you talking or whatever in class?" And he said, "Well, he said this to me." And then the teacher's like, "Well, I didn't see him say this to you or hear him say this to you, but I saw you saying this to him, or I heard you," and so forth. And then that way, I can't defend that, because at that point in time, I can't even prove your innocence in that sense, because so
it's very typical, like how should we call it, third-party situation in a way.
Yep.
Where the ones that kind of comes in a bit late, like maybe give back or whatever have you, gets the penalty. It's like in sports, the referee doesn't see the situation.
Yep.
The other player gets mad, and then he gets on to the other player in the situation 1 minute after. And
precisely.
That's unfortunately that's very common,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a bit like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I think you described it the right way, Tavi. Yeah, get the teacher attention. That's a
Mm-hmm.
try to stay out of it first.
Yeah, because
I can understand him though. Young, and he works by instinct foremost, probably in the kind of situation. I don't blame him.
And that's the thing. I think for me, like I said to him, like, I understand that it came from the right place. For me, it's just his approach was wrong, which is what I made sure to make it quite clear to him, is that he didn't.
Strategic move wasn't the best,
Yeah.
Apparently, since it got punished.
Exactly. Because to me, it's like, you shouldn't be getting in trouble for your friends, because I think from during the past 2 weeks, he's had I think it was like 6 or something detentions, and it's all for silly things, it's all for like silly things. And I'm like, look, you can't be getting into trouble for silly things like that. You're old enough to know better. You should not be getting into trouble for silly things like that, Leave that for like Ty or something. And even for Ty, like Ty, within that time, Ty's had a brilliant couple of weeks. He's been flying, with regards to his behavior. No problems in school, no issues there. He's been good. So I'm like, you can't be getting in trouble for these silly things. You're old enough to know better, and I expect better from you. So yeah, generally, that was kind of it. And nothing really to really write home about. I mean, as I say, like Chris has been, he's been here. I've been trying to get him out of the house. I did, like to just, like it sounds bad, but like he is a homebody. He does like to be at home, and I'm just like, but you're in a new country. Spend a bit of time like seeing the town and getting out there and all that kind of stuff. And so far, he has not. He's not really done that a lot. He's mainly been at home and not really seen any of the town or whatever have you and so forth. And time flies, So
It does. It's been guys now for like 2.
it could be more. It could be a month already. I think it's been about a month since he's been.
Okay.
So
do you have any time to take him somewhere?
well, I did offer to take him somewhere next month because there's a Comic-Con coming up. But I mean, to a certain extent, he's a grown man, So it's like
Of course, yeah.
it's like, bro, like like you're in a foreign country, you're visiting. I understand you're comfortable at home and all that kind of stuff, which is great. It's not a problem. I'm a home person too, but I think in a foreign country, if you're there for some time, I think, especially like, for example, like how I visited you, I was just there for a weekend. So, obviously you took me around, but if I was visiting you for like a month or something, you can't take me around all the time because obviously you'll have your own stuff that you'll be doing. So for me personally, I would have to make plans for myself. I'll have to say, let me get into town and see. And you probably give me some advice like, oh, you want to check this place out and you want to check that place out. And then
There will be a list.
It would be a brilliant list. But at the end of the day, I'd be out there. Because the same thing happened to me when I first visited the UK. Was my brother told me the exact same thing. He was like, "Look, Q, you got to get out," and he basically just gave me his card and said, "Hey, like, catch a train catch a bus and get out there, go visit some places and do your thing." And I did that, so for me, it's like, yeah, just get out there, So,
What about London? Go there?
no, that's the thing. It's like, I would have to go, I have to go with, so, 'cause, so it's like, if I'm going, then it's like, yeah, he's going, to a certain extent. So if I'm not going, it's like, well, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm fine at home, kind of thing. And it's like, because the reason why it's so it comes up so much as well is like everyone in my family keeps asking like, so has he seen this place yet? Has he gone there? And I'm like, nope, he's been at home. He doesn't go anywhere. I don't have the time to run around anywhere all the time. I've got the school run and other stuff, and so to me it's like, yeah, it's like come on, bud, like get out there, see the world, visit stuff, enjoy, but yeah, I guess we shall see. Hopefully in this coming week, I can convince my bro to like get out there and see the world, and but we'll see what happens for the most part.
Yep. The story continues.
The story continues.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed. So let's talk about some games. The game I've been playing this week is the game that you guys see on screen, which is called Nigate Tale. And I'm just gonna open the Steam page so I can read the details of the game. So this game is on Steam. It's early access, which means it's full of bugs, which I'm currently dealing with one right now. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been noticing I'm going back and forth through a couple menus. That's literally because I'm trying to find a setting to change something, and I'm not finding it. It's gone. Like, it's just not available. And obviously it's early access. That is to be expected. All that kind of stuff. This was originally put onto Steam on April the 12th, 2021. It's developed by Hermit Games and published by 2P Games. I believe this is a Chinese game. I think it's a Chinese game. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But it's got a very distinct visual art style. It is a roguelite. And this is actually one of the first roguelites I've actually enjoyed. Like, I am loving this. Not that it's the only one I've ever enjoyed, but this is one of the first. Because there are very few that I actually like. But it says, you fight your way through a a Oh, sorry, that's procedural. Sorry, I had to squint there. A procedural generated labyrinth castle in this roguelike dungeon crawler. Set in a vibrant and colorful anime world. It is very gorgeous. The art style, the artwork is stunning, to be honest. You're lost in a spiritual realm, but powerful monster girls will help you get back home with new powers and weapons if you bring them the right presents. So I have been playing. I played this game once on a live stream. It's $15.99 on Steam. It does have Steam Deck support, which I'm hoping at some point I can have a Steam Deck to try out that kind of stuff. But it's got Steam Deck support. It's a single player game, full control support, and Steam Cloud. No cards, unfortunately, but I think that's because it's early access. Hopefully, when it's like a full game, there will be cards for this because the artwork is too gorgeous not to have cards. System requirements. It's not very intense. You're looking at a dual core for minimum requirements, and for recommended, you're looking at a i5. It doesn't list the graphics. Oh no, it does actually. It says a 1060. So a 1060 is pretty lower end for the most part. And for the minimum, it actually says 1 gig VRAM GPU, which that's some cave technology, if I do say so myself. So if you're telling me a graphics card with 1 gig of VRAM, that's some old GPU technology we're talking about. Stuff from the 90s, early 2000s, kind of like graphics cards kind of stuff. So this essentially a potato should run. This is what it's saying. It's isometric in the way it's presented, and oh man, it's addictive. It is addictively fun to play this game. Every run could be so different. My last run, I literally made it to the final boss and drained her health to I took 3/4 of her health. She just had a quarter left. And I completely forgot to manage my health, because I thought I had another revive, but I didn't, and I died. So yeah, it is what it is. Leveler. So it's a good game though. Nigate Tale is amazing, and I hope it leaves early access soon. I hope the developers are still developing it. Again, $15.99 I think is a splendid price for this game, and I highly recommend it. Yeah, that's about it. I'm going to jump back into the gameplay while you tell us about what you've been playing, Raj.
Of course, focus on the gameplay.
I need to get good.
Yeah, exactly. Get good now. No, that sounds good. Glad to hear that you've found something playing. And I have partly been doing that the same. And I say partly, I'm going to talk about that, of course. I've been playing an upcoming free-to-play shoot by Ubisoft that is called Xdefiant. That's been in closed beta recently, and I was actually able to play it already this fall when it comes to the early play tests, but I did not have the time to happen. It's kind of interesting because this game has blown up quite some on the, especially among, I would say, especially among people playing Call of Duty, content creators. And I can understand why this game, this shooter, kind of reminds me also a bit about older Call of Duty. When it comes to gunplay and movement and stuff like that. But it kind of ends there partly because there are, how should we say, abilities, like special abilities, character. They have been the Ubisoft universe a bit when it comes to SC, like mixing different characters from find them in the game, that and the station, and it's really nothing new. Not one of those games that is, oh, here comes something groundbreaking and new. That's not Xdefiant. I made a video which want to check out more what I have to say because I
Mhm.
find it quite interesting, and I think the psychology behind this game getting this kind of hype.
Mhm.
And I refer that to the fact that Modern Warfare 2 and the latest Call of Duty games has been bad.
Mhm.
It has not been working well. Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 is still losing player numbers, going
Mhm.
down, even though there's a new season content. And I think that makes also content creators a bit desperate on or nervous because if you are basing your channel on like one game and it's Call of Duty,
Mhm.
which is not the case for me. I hardly post any Call of Duty content, but
Mhm.
then you realize that okay, if the franchise is going to continue like this and aren't watching the same kind of amount that they were or as much as they before,
Mhm.
then maybe I need to find something else. And this game then plays a bit like how the Call of Duty games was before. I can understand
Mhm.
that it gets kind of hype. Question though, is it worth it? Like, does it serve, if you will?
Mhm.
And that's when it becomes a bit like I say this in the video. I can spoil that. I say this in the video that I made. Well, if Modern Warfare 2, and we have to be honest, if Modern Warfare 2 would have been a really, really good Call of Duty game, and maybe also games before,
Mhm.
then Xdefiant would not have gotten this. I am
Mhm.
100% sure. So it has to do a lot with that. Now, is it fun to play? Yes, to a certain extent, definitely. You know
Mhm.
me, I'm very simple when it comes to having fun in a more like arcade-ish. Even though this game might actually be able to have a competitive, well,
Mhm.
maybe. But I like to snipe. I like to run around and sniper. That's what I've been doing. Any so
Mhm.
that works and that's fun and that's good, kind of cool for me. That kind of experience. However, there is a downside here. Well, one thing could be, of course, the like balance things with ability. Like I saw quite early on that people were spamming the healer because you're a good player in this game and you put down a heal pack and you are able to, hit those headshots. You almost hold down an area by yourself.
Mhm.
Uh, so they have to look into this, of course. But it has been technical problems, although those issues when it comes to server related, like these problems and stuff, the devs are well aware of it. They actually made a mistake when it comes to settings regarding the server. So the beta hasn't been that great for them. And again, they are aware of it. So I would not be surprised they actually decide to make another run later on when they have fixed this when it comes to some kind of beta or actually game.
Mhm.
And then, of course, which I don't touch base or talk about in my video, then the next question is how will this game do? Because I
Mhm.
have played and seen so many games, also games with potential games that just dies after like 4 or 5 months. So, what about X Defiant? Does it have a future? Well, it depends on many things. Of course, how the game, state of the game when it's being launched, and also what happens to Ubisoft and how they treat the game. That's, I guess, questions that arise since I don't have those now. So we just
Mhm.
so well. That's my kind of impressions so far when it comes to. Doesn't stand out. It's nothing, but like are into kind of shooters, and if you play Call of Duty before, you will recognize the game modes. You will even and so yeah, that's X Defiant at least.
See, good stuff. Oh, right. I guess it's something I probably would look into at some point. Maybe if if I'm looking, like, I think probably after the early access and all that kind of stuff is sorted and it's it's a full fledged game. I think a lot of people don't like. I don't really usually play your Call of Duties and that kind those sort of games, and so I think for most people they're like, oh well, that's not something cute to play. But I actually do like a good shooter every now and then. So for me, generally speaking, if it does turn out to be pretty decent, I would probably potentially eventually check it out at some point or the other. So Yeah, if I, especially at like with most multiplayer games, it does depend on the party you have with you. The friends that you're playing with and all that kind of stuff. Playing by yourself, probably not gonna happen for me. But playing with a good group of mates, you in particular, yeah, I could probably see myself playing something like this. Killing a couple minutes at a time in this kind of leveler. So yeah, it's pretty much been it's a bit of that. As for Tele, I started watching a new series on Netflix. All right, I'm gonna have to pause the gameplay for a moment and bring up my tab with IMDb. The name of the series is called Unstable, and it is a series where let me just confirm. Like, Raj, can you still hear me?
I still hear you.
Because I have my headset's it's making that song that makes when it disconnects from the PC for some reason. I don't know if something's interfering with the signal or something. But anyway, Unstable on Netflix is a series about this dad who basically his wife dies. And he basically owns this company. He's like this celebrity guy who owns a company that essentially is like solving the global problems of global warming and all this sort of stuff. Like they're way advanced for what they do. And he basically is so accustomed to everyone like bending to his whims and stuff like that. But he's eccentric, but he's also like really like he's great at like helping other people, but then he also has his own personal problems that he's dealing with as well, like how he relates to his son and all that kind of stuff, and how he's processing his wife passing away. And so they basically his son had moved away prior to the mom passing away, and then his sort of like the people working underneath him, they've basically arranged to have his son come back to sort of like help ground him so he can complete this task that he needs to do before the board kind of like tries to replace him. And he is the story is hilarious. It's about him and his son, and there's so many great characters in there. The son has his own personal romantical interests as he gets into the show. The father is dealing with his own little things. The story is quite whimsical, well written, funny. It's got that sort of what do you call it? It's got that sort of like vibe of like The Office, or maybe something like Cloud9, which is Superstore. It's that kind of humor, and it's brilliant. I love it. It is brilliant. The show stars John Owen Lowy, who plays the son. You have Cyan Clifford, who plays his assistant, the father's assistant. You have Rob Lowe, who plays the father. His character is called Elias. Or is that how you said the name? I can't remember. Is it Elias Dragon? I think it's Elias. You have Fred Armisen, who's in here, and I think I want to highlight him a bit more because of the fact that he is in a lot of stuff I've seen in recent months, and his character is usually a crazy person. And when I say that, I mean like his character is usually mentally unstable in a sort of like almost terrifying, psychotic kind of way, but then it's also kind of funny at the same time. So I think he's typecast or something, because he plays this type of character a lot, it seems. But he does it well, and I enjoy him doing it. Doing his role. Rachel Marsh plays Luna, who is the love interest of the son, and then you have Emma Ferreira, who for a smaller portion of time plays the love interest, but they shift to being friends more than anything else. And yeah, you've got a lot of whimsy. You Aaron Branch, who plays the son's best friend, and that as well as like his dynamic with the brother and with the father is again interesting, to say the least. So I want to just say I like this series a lot. and it's only got one season on Netflix. Sadly, only 8 episodes for the season. Sadly, but
Aha.
that being said, it is a 6.8 on IMDb. I give it a 10. Forget IMDb's rating. This stuff needs to be seen. All right. Each
That's
each
what they want to see.
each episode is 25 minutes long. I cannot. I can't stop saying how much I love this series. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I need to see it. I wish there was more, but there isn't. It literally just came out. It's new on Netflix. It just came out this year. So go check it out, people. Go see Unstable because it is amazing. So yes,
Mm.
that's about it. That's all I want to say. You know.
That's good. That's nice. Actually, yeah, this we have been watching stuff quite
Mhm.
some through the years now, and I think they're continuing to produce some good series now and then on Netflix. Definitely.
Mhm.
I have actually been watching also a new series, but I will save that and talk about it later.
Ooh la
I
la.
would like to focus on yeah, because well, I have been continuing, or we have been continuing to follow and watch, The Mandalorian. You know, but that's ongoing. But what I wanted to talk about actually old an old movie, a film
Mhm.
that I went went back watching together with Isaac because if he had watched it, had. And
Mhm.
I'm talking about Stanley Kubrick's movie called Full Metal Jacket.
Mhm.
This is a pragmatic kind of U.S. Marine that observes the dehumanizing effects of the Vietnam War
Mhm.
and what it has, what it does to like fellow recruits from the boot camp training to the blooded street fighting in. So it like takes quite some time. I think I can spoil that. I really like just how the film starts. It's a good song, that starts the movie, and immediately you see the new recruits are getting their haircut, like taking off their hair literally,
Mhm.
and it goes on from there. I think there's definitely, and I remember that in particular time when it comes to boot camp and these different guys coming from the different parts of the country with different backgrounds. You know how it is, getting together and they have to cope and getting Marines
Mhm.
ready for battle and everything. And Matthew Modine, great job there. Adam Baldwin, Vincent Onofrio, sorry,
Mhm.
has a bit of a very special role, I would.
Mhm.
Dorian Harewood, but also the Sergeant Hartman himself,
Mhm.
which is an actor called R. Lee, or his name is R. Lee Ermey. I
Mhm.
think he was a vet. I think he had that from before. I think he passed away 2008.
Mhm.
And he played Sergeant Hartman, and there's so much in these barracks being said that can't really be. I can't
You can't
repeat
repeat it.
I can't repeat it here. Otherwise, we have to put like Peggy above 18 or something. But I think it's funny. It's not political correct, especially
Mhm.
not in 2023.
Right.
Not at all.
Mhm.
But oh man, these guys are no more worthy than rats in the but I find it kind of hilarious. Then of course we have the tough parts also. We actually getting in court and everything. But it's good. It's a good movie. I mean, Stanley Kubrick knows what he's doing,
Mhm.
and it's one of these older ones from '87 actually. 1 hour 56 minutes of good movie time.
Mhm.
8.3 on IMDb out of 10. I would definitely around there 8.5, 8. Closer to.
Mhm. That's
So
good.
yeah, and also I think I said that when I was yesterday. I just mentioned this and I said it's also interesting when you go back. That can be same with games,
Mhm.
but when you go back and watch a movie that you've seen, like quite some time ago, and you
Mhm.
watch it now when you're a bit older, the
Mhm.
perspective you have and the yeah, you're a different person partly at least, or to a certain extent,
Mhm.
and therefore you watch the movie with a bit different perspective, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's but it,
That is and you're 100% right in that. That is so true. When you go back to some of the stuff that we watched years ago, like I've watched some done a similar thing, going back and watching shows that I used to watch as I guess a teen or a young adult or whatever have you and so forth, and just noticing like, this is interesting.
Yes,
Does
yes.
this how does this match up with the current version of me, and I think that that's a good thing in the sense of like, sort of like a good example of that, we humans constantly changing, like we're constantly evolving, we're constantly developing and improving, and all that kind of stuff, so it at the end of the day, we're never the same person we were yesterday that we are today, and that's a good example of it, just considering the kind of stuff that we consume and how we perceive that those things over a period of time, essentially. So yeah, it's good. It's gooder.
It's cool, and
So.
it's also interesting. I mean, sometimes I think that too. You
Mhm.
go back and you watch and like, okay, this is very dated. It's like back then I
Yes.
liked it then. Now, well, maybe not as much.
Hmm.
Or you can have the experience. Oh, still so cool, so good, and it doesn't matter that it has passed like
Hmm.
20 years. I like it.
Hmm.
It can be either way, I guess.
Yeah, because the other thing too, societal standards change over time. So some things
Yeah.
you go back and you look at it and you're like, ooh, that does not, that did not age well. And then some things you go back and you're like, this is a classic. Like it doesn't matter. This
Mm.
stuff is good, So it just comes down to a few things like that. Essentially, for me, generally speaking, I do like going back and watching some older stuff, depending on what it is. But then some of the newer stuff is actually pretty good. I will say though, more so than not, I don't like the new stuff. I'll be completely honest. More so than not, I find myself not liking newer stuff compared to older stuff. Like I find myself appreciating some of the older stuff, especially if it's something that I grew up with to a certain extent. There's a chance that I'm more likely to be, I still fancy these aspects of it, and even if there are some problems, and I can basically in my mind kind of like date it and say, you know what, that was acceptable then, different now, and still enjoy for the most part the film. But I found a lot of newer films, and I guess this is a sign of the fact that I'm getting older. Is that a lot of newer films I watch and I'm just thinking to myself like, I just I cannot relate to some of this, or I find it cringeworthy, or just too, because like I think you and I, we've spoken about this with regards to like a lot of the newer films are so on the nose about their humor or their delivery, whereas and they're so quick as well. Like you get from point A to point B and you're done. Whereas older films took a while to build up the story and build up the characters and stuff like that. And it was less about explosions and sparkle and stuff like that. It was more about the story that was being told and the art of the cinema and all that kind of stuff. And as well as essentially just the characters and all and stuff like that. And I think to a certain extent, I think now, and I was listening to a podcast about something like this with regards to profanity, but I can see how aspects of that can be used, but essentially how with time what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable changes so much, and sometimes it's some stuff that's ridiculous to a certain extent. He was one of the people who was being interviewed, one of the scientists or whatever who studies this thing. He was talking about how at one point in time saying the word belly was considered to be obscene. You would say tummy. It's like, oh really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Interested. So what's societally acceptable changes with time and stuff like that, and obviously everything is like a circle, it just sort of comes around again. But yeah, I think generally speaking, and maybe I'm saying this just because I grew up with this stuff, but I do feel like older films do a better job of telling a story, even if sometimes the story may not be what is considered socially correct in the current time. But I think that's the beauty of cinema or film, is that it doesn't necessarily have to represent the time that it's in it, and it's sort of like looking back and seeing, oh, so this is how people viewed things back then, or this is how they told a story, or this is how they did this, and so forth. And I'm not saying like people nowadays should make films like they did back then, because obviously it's a different time. But yeah, I do find older films a tad bit more intriguing. Not saying not taken away from the fact that a lot of modern stuff is pretty good, like Unstable that I just mentioned, which I find quite enjoyable. So yeah.
Oh, I can just fill in
Mm-hmm.
and say I agree. As you
Mm-hmm.
know, we have been talking about have this.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a combination of who are am and who are the
Mm-hmm.
I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
You put things in perspective, but I do think, and I have actually been and hearing about some directors or in Hollywood writers all saying actually the same. So I don't think it's only like from the actual industry. I don't think it's us.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think it has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Some things, of course, are great because we also have bigger possibilities now. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, if you think about it, also the way they had to do, when
Mm-hmm.
The first Star Wars movie, both movies came around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how they have to come up with things,
Mm-hmm.
that was invented, and start to think about how can we actually
Mm-hmm.
this special effect, build the, you know,
Mm-hmm. The limitations of cinema back then,
yeah,
I guess that the limitations created more creativity, because you had to get creative with how you did it.
exactly. You just don't have it in your hands. You just have to go out there and find, in many ways, new ways to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's one thing, of course. And then, as you mentioned, the story, you couldn't get away with a bad script.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just could had to you had to be
Mm-hmm.
something had to be. Of course, there were bad movies.
Of course there were.
Yeah. But the good ones were really, really.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt that once again. Of course, not everyone's cup of tea. Talking from like the movie standpoint of view, like the Metal Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay, that's the good old stuff.
The good old stuff, indeed. I'm gonna pause my combat game, because it's this is the reason why I was like concerned about streaming and playing at the same time, like recording the podcast and playing at the same time. I can't do both. I'm gonna lose this. Anyway, that being said, there's a thing that we usually do right about now. What is that thing called? We may have to drop the shout out segment, because I have no shout out this week either. We've had a couple of weeks. We may want to switch this with something else in the future, because yeah, generally speaking, we've not had a shout out for a couple of weeks, and I'm not going to force myself to go check out channels that I like, just a new channel every week, or podcasts. I obviously find, like, I think I've found the stuff that I like listening to, and I'm sticking to it, for the most part. So, like the podcast I was listening to last night, the one about profanity, was Freakonomics podcast, and I listen to that all the time. I listen to that. I listen to ESPN all the time. I mean, your boy has his stuff that he listens to. ESPN FC, Freakonomics. No Stupid Questions. Those are my constant listens on a regular basis. The rest of my time is spent reading or doing other stuff. So, yeah. I will admit, I have found myself watching a crap ton of YouTube stories, which, stories are addictive, man. Whenever I open YouTube on my phone and I'm like, let me just check something, you see some stories, you see some thumbnails for them stories, and you click, let me just click on it and see what's up. And then you're there for like a good 10, 20 minutes, you're like, God damn it. I need to get off this phone and do something productive. So with that, how about we get out of here, Roger? How about we?
Yeah, the day has started.
The day has started. I need breakfast, honestly.
Need to start with. I'm gonna make coffee, and I'm gonna make a double coffee actually. Agent Adam is working from
Ooh la la.
coffee. Coffee drinker. That might be my fault.
Nah, so that's a good fault to have, you know. Train the chibis to have all your traits, you know. Train them to have all of your traits, and that will be great, you know. That's the whole thing. The whole thing is to make them gamers, make them like all the things you like. So that you know, at the end of the day, when they look back in time and they're like, who's my favorite parent? You know, you know who they're gonna pick. You know, they're gonna be like, look, mommy, we love you, but yeah, dad has all of our power. He's amazing, best parent ever. When the parent awards are being given out, and the nominees are dad for best role as favorite parent, dad for just being awesome, dad for introducing me to coffee, you know, dad for introducing me for video games, and you know, just one slight nomination for mom for just, you know, for being mom, you know, and dad wins another year, you know. That's basically it, you know. That's it.
Yeah, the trophies are stacking up.
It just keeps stacking up, you know. You just keep winning year in, year out. You just won the award. You know, it's like, oh, it's so unfair. It's so unfair. It just keeps winning every year. Oh, I'm dying. I'm getting killed.
That's happening at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah. So with that said, oh my god, that was funny. With that said, guys, I hope you have been enjoying as always we have, and wish you a great week. Take care of yourself and enjoy life. Years past is fast, that is for sure. And take care of yourself and grasp the moment of life to the. So with that said, my friend, off in and out.
And with that, my character has died. La-di-da, swiddle. I had a terrible run this roguelite run, but such is life. You win some, you lose some. So with that, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. As always, you can find Roger at 40 Splash pretty much everywhere. That's number 40 with SPL, ISH, SPL, ASH. Ye streams on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Sunday. Is that correct, Rog? Correcto. You can find me at LP Gardeners, Garden to you pretty much everywhere else. I also stream at Simply Binge, so you can find me at Simply Binge or Simply Binge UK pretty much on Twitch. And as always, we wouldn't like you guys to miss out on any of the episodes of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like subscribe to this podcast on Castbox, Acast, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, simplybinge.com and elsewhere. And we're so confident you're going to like it that we're giving it for free. So as always, guys, this has been Queued for your pleasure. And it's a wrap.